Welcome to Present Poetry. I'm your host, Erin Crittenden, and all poems within this podcast are either public domain or used with permission from the author or the author's estate. It's a fun time for poetry lovers of all ages, so sit back, relax, and get ready to hear some poems of the past and the present. This week's featured poet is Joel O'Connor. Joel O'Connor is an Australian poet who likes to draw on scientific research to create poems about the connection between science and magic in the natural world. His love of poetry began in his younger years, and he ended up winning his high school's poetry award during his last 2 years there. That award inspired him to create Poetry Australia, a non-profit organization to help promote and support poetry from non-traditional sources. Aside from his poetry, Joel is also a playwright and has written several plays that have been performed in Sydney and Melbourne. To learn more about this author, you can connect with him through Instagram and Twitter, or check out his website at joeloconnor.net, all of which are linked in the show notes. This poem is called Hermit Crabs. Hermit crabs form a queue, largest to smallest, as space permits. They disrobe and pass their shells along, offering to others what no longer fits. So too my tomatoes, babushkas in line, have shared the sun and their place on the vine, and grow in proportion to each other, and when set free, made space for another. This poem is called How Spiders Fly. Impossible astronauts, wingless, fat-bodied arachnids, balloon through the sky purposefully, not just at the whim of currents. Magicians levitated by an invisible trick, they draw voltage from the world around to lift off by means we'd never think. The first harnessers of power, charging their webs to stun their prey, they shape the same material into propellers and fly away. Dangling their tendrils to intersect with the unseen world, they tap into the bands of ions crisscrossing the globe. And by their proffered threads they rise as these most delicate and strongest of things are struck by atmospheric charge and drawn into the air, taking with them spiders, the world's first cyborgs. This poem has no name. Lacing together in their billions, microalgae weave a cloth of delicate beauty beyond the craft of human hands. Unfurling themselves as a fabric of impossibility, they have cradled, intact, the body of a fallen spider for 100 million years, preserving its skin in vividness and even undimmed the glow in its eyes. They form a living tapestry with the power to immortalize the smallest and most fragile of things. This poem is called Lessons from Trees. The highest reaches of trees in a canopy never touch. They raise their leaves to form a circle of reverence around the light in their midst, while giving each their tender space. They are a realization of a life born for communion and of the pact to share the sun, held true from when they first broke earth, ascending through the years, reaching ever up, they hold to that until they stand equal at their apex, swaying in unison, basking in their warm bond of equality. This poem is called Dream Age. The ages of the earth we count from turns around the sun, the rings on a tree, and ice cores oxygen. We speak of millennia, eons and more, the rise and fall of mountains, the impressions of the meteor. But imagine we measured by the passage of our dreams. Through the time combined each night, we're immersed in inner visions. 8 billion of us, 8 hours in slumber, in years, in one night. That number would be 800,000 spent together, the same span as the sum of our human existence. Thank you for listening to this episode of Present Poetry. If you enjoyed it, please leave us a review, share us on social media, or subscribe so you never miss an episode. If you would like to learn more about the featured poet, or you would like your work featured on the podcast, please check out the links in the show notes. Thank you again for listening, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.